Assassination Classroom Season 2, Episode 25. The final episode, somehow.
この1年、本当にご苦労だった。君たちには納
How do we
得でき
deal
ない
with
こ
this
とがある
aftermath?
かもしれん。しばらくは注目されて大変だと思う。
People won't understand, and they'll assign you labels based on what they want to believe, like victim, narrow survivors of a tremendous evil, thanks to our government saviors, never knowing, never fully realizing, but I know they have the mindset to move past the things they can't change without getting cynical.
もちろん、できる限り君らを守る。
No doubt.
俺らもうまいこと平穏に収まるよう努力するから。
Exactly.
ハラスミ先生を困らせたくないしね。
We can count on each other.
今日のくぬぎが丘の卒業式には出させてください。
It's very important, actually.
高校者との戦いの日々もコロ先生と作った大事な思い出だから。
I can't believe I'm even saying that, but I understand for the first time the importance of this. These are not children addressing you.
ビッチ先生、
Bitch to the
本
end.
当にいろいろ教えていただきありが
True
とう
though.
ございました。
Absolutely true.
ありがとうございました。
Wow, the kids are coping with this a lot better than I am.
親に制服持ってきてもらわねえと。
Try not to cry challenge.
悲しみは残っているだろうに。強くなった。
Yeah, right.
1年前とは見違えるよ。
Totally. Which is great because they're still the same kids. This only comes to mind. I only say this because of conversations I've been having about how, like, when you're in a really bad state, even some of the elements of the mindset that are helpful to get through that, they feel fake and they feel like inauthenticity. It's like, oh, I just have to adopt a lie in order to get out of this terrible world, which from my perspective is just the reality. It definitely feels that way sometimes. But there was absolutely nothing inauthentic about it. It's just themselves pushed to their limit, to the extent of their spirit. They were never asked to embrace a lie. I mean, if anything, it's the opposite. The graduation ceremony thing is tough. It's weird because I initially dropped out of high school and ended up finishing in a different high school. So it ended up taking me 5 years total, and I didn't attend my high school graduation, but I did attend the high school graduation of the high school I dropped out of for my friends before I was even eligible to graduate at my school. And I gotta say, for all my spite about school, especially that school, and telling myself I was a renegade or I was seeing things other people couldn't and all those pitfalls, the reality of it was that it stung, and I sort of wish I had been there to graduate. It's interesting, watching the show, I think, has been necessary for me as a long, much needed catharsis and healing from my pain about education. And I think the show gets it exactly right. I think it's the answer, where just as a general pattern in society, a lot of the institutions and staples we deal with are really important time-tested things for helping establish something like a baseline. This is law, this is get a good job, work hard and you'll succeed, follow the rules and you'll get everything you want. That's mostly aimed at keeping a certain minimum of order and structure, but that's not the same thing as the optimal or the highest reaching, the truly visionary and exceptional. But the lie we're told is that those are one and the same. And so then we're confused and maybe even bitter or spiteful when we follow those protocols and do everything we were told to do, but don't get the exceptional results we were promised. In fact, we probably get what are very average results, which is no real surprise when you think about it because we're doing average behaviors. Also, interestingly, a weird thought I had yesterday is that in some very strange way, even though exceptionalism is the most difficult, that space of the average is the most competitive because there are the most people working to cement that floor, and floor space is sort of limited. And so recognizing that lie and recognizing that there are certain people who are mouthpieces for that lie, probably not deliberately, but just because they came up in it and they became proponents of it and defenders of it. But whether or not that's deliberate, as an adolescent, you're watching these people who you're just looking at them and they're flawed people and they're not really living the life you want to live, but they're telling you that they know the secrets to a good life. It can feel like an invasion or a betrayal. And I think that sort of critical analysis of the institutions that we grow up in and a little bit of skepticism for what the promises are, and maybe most importantly, an agency about how we're navigating them, is actually really important and beautiful. But the bitterness about it, the ego boost of feeling that you're right, is not the solution either. It's just another trap. I think in the spirit of Assassination Classroom, if you are lucky enough to have that sort of insight and that awakening and that important transfer of things in your hands, that now this is my life and I want to make the most of it and I want to see the truth. From that point on, it serves no one to be angry and bitter or to tell yourself you're better than something. And the real beauty is then taking that and pouring that love and beauty into the things you're doing. The kids had every right to be bitter about the school system, but with Koro Sensei's guidance, they tied their ability to choose with a high-reaching goal, and so everything that was in front of them then was an opportunity for them to learn and grow and to participate. Was it school that really made them great? Was it their tests? Not exactly. It's not that all of the goodness they found was contained in their classes and their tests, but yes, because it was a reflection of life and a mirror for how to participate in it with open, seeking, high-reaching, pure hearts. And so they absolutely have to go to graduation as an endpoint and celebration of all of the greatness they've poured into this endeavor. 25th Period Future Time by Kaede and Nagisa. Epilogue time.
E 組の制度は間違ってるから変えさせようとか、そういうことは一度も言わなかった。
That's a good point. That's interesting.
理不尽なことが世の中にあるのは。
Yeah, this is it. This is such a good insight.
諦めている暇があったら。
It's so amazing. I love it.
楽しんで理不尽と戦おう。 その方法をいくつも教えてくれた。
It's all the same. It's all the same. Like, I like the show throughout, but the real turning point where I'm like, man, that's genius, was the flashback and Koro Sensei's choice, where in a crazy sense, he was living in the system. He was living in that system of lies. Because it's deeper than society. It's like, it's fundamentally human. The giving into the material, the incomplete scale of value. If I just win along everything I want, that's what value means. And he's built his whole life around this. And he's actually done really well at it. He's applied a lot of values, really good values that he's taught the kids to that pursuit. And he's finally at the peak, you know, he's won. And he's one step away from just that being his entire existence. And he's asked by some weird, goofy girl who doesn't win on any of the criteria he values, is not strong, I mean, is pitifully weak, has no taste in clothing, to believe in something better, which essentially means giving up everything she's built and returning to the state of zero almost, or that's how it would feel, right? Because you're taking on a new value framework that you've never used and you've rejected and you actually are terrible in because you've been evil, you know, you haven't been following goodness, you've been killing people, and yet he can't help but see out of the corner of his eye something better, something more truthful, and that he's been a little bit wrong. And in that situation, how easy it would be to just deny it and double down on the tools you already know. And he makes a choice to believe in something better than he knows, something that's worth fighting for. And it will be a fight. Philosophically, it's something like belief versus nihilism on a more individual personal level. It's about your framework for value and your occupation, reevaluating what you think really matters. Another really important level of it that I think this speaks to is the choice between focusing on what you can do and the comfort of a narrative that makes you feel better, even though you pretend it makes you feel worse, about things you're too afraid to confront or just don't know how to. Everyone, I think, everyone in some way at least, has stories they're telling themselves that they don't actually believe. They are coping mechanisms for why you don't have to do the thing you actually feel you should do and you know is better than what you're doing. And in a very bizarre way, it's no coincidence that these end up being things that are not in our control, right? It sort of has to be to make that justification land. Society hates me. The system is corrupt. I have XYZ disorder. That ad I keep getting on YouTube about it's not my fault I'm procrastinating. It's something else's fault. It's never in my own hands. It's always something else. It's some other problem that's not me. So I can, deep sigh of relief. It's not my fault. Nothing I can do about it anyway, except of course, pay for whatever service this is. I think the more empowering focus that the kids have done so well, following Koro Sensei's example, is an acknowledgement that, yeah, there are actually a lot of things that are out of our control. I mean, in a certain way of looking at it, that's most of life. But in another way, it's the least important part of life because we can't control it anyway. So what significance does it have? On the other side, there's the unbelievably massive potential of we have in ourselves to guide ourselves and make choices and to think and to learn, to take this tiny little piece of the universe that is ours and to give that our everything, every ounce of energy, of which the other stuff, you know, the blaming, the complaining, the railing against the state of the world steals from. It steals energy, it steals time. Like I said, they could have been totally bitter about this situation. They had every right to be in a conventional sense. But by not doing that, look what they managed to accomplish. And like, there's going to be no one in here that has a doubt about who they are and what they've accomplished or thinking they're losers. Not that that even matters because, again, the most important thing is that they know and they don't think that. They know what they can do. I love how they're doubling down on that here.
いい目をするようになったね。担任の残した教育の賜物だ。
はい。理事長先生もやりすぎない程度
Please
に。
be kind to your students and don't let them hit you either. No more hitting teachers from now
お
on.
元気で。
Imagine them having a good relationship. I want to see Asano's reaction too.
父さん、母さん。
Oh, wow. We even brought mom and dad back together.
あの怪物だというお前
Oh
の
my
先生が訪ねてきた。
What wasn't he doing?
最初に渚くんから頼まれました。
What didn't he do for them, really?
話し合ったの。父さんも母さんもあんたに負けないように。
Whoa, they're actually getting back together? I mean, that's not even necessary. Just supporting Nagisa, but that's pretty amazing.
うちの先生はどれだけ残したの
It is
気がするん
heartbreaking.
だ。
It is heartbreaking that someone like that had to die. I still haven't fully accepted it, to be honest.
立ち入り禁止だ。
怪物について一言
Yeah, they're gonna frothing at the mouth for views.
玄関正面にバスを待機させてある。
I mean, I feel like they might be ready to speak if they want to. Do we prepare this? What is going on? Are we gonna torture all of them?
てめえらこそ人の鼻道を探すんじゃねえ。
We're going that route.
練習してネットに告発しようかな。全員顔を覚えたしな。僕らに任せて。
We're on the same team now. Well, for many different reasons.
見捨てれば。
We were good protagonist, antagonist, antagonist, protagonist. We battled honorably and well on the same battlefield.
別にいいけど。
Asano's pretty cool. I mean, he did this without Koro Sensei
全部理解は難
to
しい
a certain extent.
ほら、お前が
Goodbye, brother. I'm sure that'll be revealed eventually. It's actually impressive what those five managed to do. Like I said, you know, no Koro Sensei's guidance, just like vicariously from Class E students, seeing what they were doing and reflecting. That's no small thing.
こんなにいろいろ泣かされる日は もう一生ないだろう。
You never know. Life has multiple arcs. It will never be the same. Doesn't mean it can't be amazing. God, Sensei gotta die twice. That's really what it is, right? The death of the teacher, the real meaning of it. Like I said, I'm still struggling with the death thing. One of the constant challenges of the show is that there are multiple levels of interpretation and analysis, and they don't always gel perfectly. There's a metaphorical reading of this that, I mean, I think I've known it from the beginning, and I think is absolutely right. As a teacher, you succeed when your students no longer need you, and maybe even when they surpass you. And I think you can maybe say the same thing for parents and children, and you can even say the same thing about yourself, right? Like all of us have some framework for the way we conceptualize and act in the world, even if it's not fully conscious, and they're always going to be flawed somewhere. And sometimes when that gets uncovered, it's painful because you think like, oh, how could I have been so stupid? You know, how could I have not seen this earlier? Which ultimately is probably a good thing. Like at least you're growing, right? Like at least you've grown enough to look back on it and see it as like lower than you are now. One way to look at it is if you're not constantly embarrassed about something about your past, maybe you're just not growing. But I think there's a nice healthy place in there for gratitude of like, thank you to that framework and that thinking for helping me navigate that period of my life. It's what I needed at that time. It helped get me through. It helped get me up. It helped keep me going so that I can learn enough and grow enough to get me to this point where I can look back on it and think it's ridiculous. And that in itself, in a way, is like a death, right? Because it's part of you dying. It's you in your totality as it was and the way you thought that is no longer there. It's a death and rebirth type thing. That you is gone. You had to let it go to move on. And all of that together and so many other things is why it's necessary for Koro Sensei to die metaphorically. But it's annoying he has to die literally because he's such a great guy. And like, I really wanted them to find a solution. He still could have died in that way and lived physically, but I think the show made the choice of like go all the way with the impact of the metaphorical. So them leaving school is another death, right? It's like this time in their lives dying, but it's a death and rebirth. This time of their life had to die. It had to be temporary. It wouldn't serve them to stay in the same place forever. They have to go on and climb bigger mountains, different mountains, to get the full range of what life is and what they can do in life. And now that they have some of these core principles, there's almost nothing they can't do.
さよなら、くぬぎが丘中学校。
Why are we showing this building? We barely
さ
saw
よ
it.
なら、
Yeah, there you go.
3年 E 組、
Goodbye, Tiny Shack, where it all began.
コロ先生。
A lot of goodbyes. Goodbyes upon goodbyes.
いろんなことがあった。
I bet it did.
生徒を危険に
Oh,
さら
what?
した
Oh,
くぬぎが
oh,
丘
oh,
学
that
園
literal
は
fire.
中
Okay.
断された。
Right, right. Yeah, people are gonna talk.
僕ら限りで閉鎖されることになった。
Oh, the principal's initial vision.
学校の経営権を手放さざるを得なくなっ
Well,
た。
I think he'll land on his feet.
それすらも織り込み済みな気さえする。
Yeah. And his
折れない
school
信念と
led to this. I mean,
並外
he
れた
said
才
he
覚を持つ人
planted
だ。
the seeds. Right. And stocks. Millions and millions of dollars in stocks. He should teach a stock course.
永井君森さん何年ぶりだ
Oh, wow. I thought he was hallucinating for a second.
恩師のために役に立ちたいんです。
You succeeded. These are your students.
せっかく飲むんだ君たちの近況と私の愚痴
This is him seeing them as adults. That's how I'm taking it.
300億円の賞金は
Oh, oh yeah, the bounty! The bounty! We're also
速や
rich!
かに僕らに
Yeah, some
支払
stuff
われた。
happened. A few things happened.
国からの口止めの意味もあるんだろうと。
Yeah, they might not take it. Don't get bought.
大金を頼りに生きるようではいい成長はできませんよ
Oh, they
だから
they turned it down, didn't they?
学費と将来の一人暮らしの頭金をいただいて
Okay, that's reasonable.
大きな買い物をして残りは1年間
What did you
の
buy?
支援への感謝として国に返還した。
Imagine giving the money to the government. Wow. The same government that did all this. Oh, can we like
次は
buy
少しずつ崩壊を
renovations
始
on
め
the
てい
moon?
る。
Maybe not.
自らの注力でいずれ前より小さな休憩にまとまるらしい。
This is a little concerning, no?
僕らの1年の象徴だった三日月は徐々にその形を忘れていく。
This is interesting. It almost sounds like a warning, you know, like a risk, like gravity will return it to something if you're not careful. But there's also a beautiful message in there. Over time, you'll just revert to your base habits, right? If you're not careful. But there's another reading of it, which is that it will look the same ultimately, but in a critical way, it will never be the same. It will never mean the same thing. And your perspective on it has totally changed. Things will return to normal, but things will never be the same again.
中東の暴動を扇動する組織にかなり危険な動きがあってな各国選抜で
We
諜報
actually
員を潜入
could
させる
be
ことになった
assassins or
明日から
workers.
現地に飛んでくれ
Oh, really? I thought she was retired.
オッケー。
This is like true lies. They should tango while someone sits in a van.
逆に興奮する。自分の嫁があんなことやそんなこ
No,
と
it
される
doesn't.
の
You have a very weird conception of what people like.
お前自身はその程度という自己評価
You do you. I'll just stay here and be disappointed.
ちょっとだけ心配してほしい。
That was not the way.
ねえ、あなた。
行くんだな
行きます。
だったらすぐ準備
Damn, she is hooked.
出会ってから7年か
7 years.
変わらんなあいつは
That's not true. That's just simply not true.
俺たち2人の
He's so nice to her when she's not there.
俺たち3人の生徒たちは元気にしているだろうか。
Was that Kaede? Who was that? There's something really great they can do here that I think a lot of shows wouldn't do. The temptation here would be like everyone is living a massive, raving, wild success. They're top of whatever industry they went into. The reality is that some of them will and some of them won't. And also that that's okay. What's most important is where they are as people, not about the specifics of their ultimate endeavors. I'm glad at least it got to stay standing. I wonder what Nagisa looks like now, like hairstyle-wise. Oh, a reunion. Damn, we look so adult. Crazy. We still clean it. That's cool. Just like Koro sensei. Like all the things in Assassination Classroom, this is not just cleaning. This is not about the cleanliness of the room. Where's Nagisa and Karma? That's a lifetime endeavor. It's an infinite book. Some things never change. Reverting to gravity. This is a memorial to him. They're also everywhere we go. But this works as a really nice anchor, like I said. Like, you just immediately tap into that energy again. It's a symbol.
ここの有効活用も考えなきゃな。
What if we started a school?
倉橋も子供集めて自然体験ツアー開いてるって。
Sweet.
あいつ昔から小銭稼ぐのうまいよな。
Are we collecting beetles?
足元気をつけて。
Oh, look at the little Pokemon trainers. Bug catchers.
どんな血液型にも輸血できる人工血液を研究中。
That could save a lot of lives. Yeah, it's big. We assassin, but also we save.
杉野くんは大学
Oh, for real? Wow, his dream directly came true. Because he worked at it. That's a nice full circle. That was the second episode, wasn't it?
噂以上にぬるぬる曲がるな。
Everything slithers. Tentacles. We're all tentacles. What do you want your tentacles to be?
それでも男がガキンジョ。くっそじじい。学生こぎ使いやがって。
大学出たら施設秘書からスタートかな。
This guy who had given up on life and the restaurant. Is it actually good now?
うまそうだろ。
Oh my god, is that real?
糸名くんは高卒後すぐに実家の工場
Also
へ。
perfect arc conclusion.
リツは完全にネットに足場を固めちゃった。
This could be the next show, the next villain arc.
今では歌を作ったり絵を描いたりもできるんですよ。
This show was ahead of its time in this.
最近は一層感情豊かで。
That's actually what AI turns out to be used for.
力になってくれてる。
Miss me with that singularity nonsense. I'm here for deep fake videos and creepy art. That's actually an impressive prediction.
必要に応じて自分を伸ばして着々と進路を決めてる。
We studied abroad.
国家公務員総合職
Yeah, there's two very notable omissions here, absences.
官僚ってすごくストレスかかる仕事みたいだからさ。
When I was struggling with the bureaucracy of university, because I transferred twice, and each time it was a massive headache trying to transfer my credits. And sometimes administrations just have a way of defaulting to no, just because they don't know certain things. If they don't understand it immediately and it's not easy, it's just a no. My mom said to me, if you can get through the bureaucracy of this, you've earned your degree. And she was joking, but like there's a really good point in there. Because there are a lot of broader skills that are really important that are just not really tangifiable enough into a subject, right? One of them is just like navigating systems and people and weird gray area things that you need done.
面接や研修で散々いじめ抜かれて
Good luck bullying Karma.
試されるんだって。
He will do the bullying and the torturing.
へえ。ここが俺の新しい
My new wallet, funded by the public. Everyone's wallet shall become my
何も
own.
心配いらないよね。
He will be. It's the other people I'm worried about.
待って待って。
Time for another class civil war. Where's the Gisa?
私たちがどんな道を選んでもコロ先生は笑顔で言うんだろうな。君に合ってるって。
It can suit you, yeah. It just depends on what you bring to it, right?
あの先生からいろんな命を教
And how you
わっ
got
た。
there.
それらは今でも
It is crazy how Koro Sensei's not in this episode, but like he's so palpably here. And the same goes for the audience to an extent, right? He is real.
ずっとつないでいけたらいいな。
There he is, the man himself.
私的にはいつかこの教室を使ってくれたらって人がいるんだけど。
Me too. Where is he?
渚くんとは
Oh yeah, they had a thing.
連
Or
絡取ってるの？
she wanted to have a thing and there was no thing.
あの殺し屋はいつだってターゲットだけを見てるから。
はじめましてみんな。
Maybe ask Irina for advice.
教育実習でこのクラスを担当する塩田渚です。
There he is.
僕はすっかり身長も伸び慕われる先生になる。
So curious about the hairstyle.
はずだったのに。
実習生だ。
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be easy.
ズボン脱がそうぜ。
Oh no.
厨房だろ
Oh
てめえ
no. Oh no.
カルマなんて185センチとかふざけて
That's terrible. Oh god, that's especially bad for Karma because he's gonna lord it over you for the rest of your life. As long as you have an insecurity about it, he will torture you with that insecurity.
暗殺教室と力関係が完全に逆だ。
Why is there blood on the lockers?
この
This is
高校がどんなと
insane.
ころか分かってんのか
A terrible one. This is full circle too. We're saving these evil public school kids. The worst of the worst, lowest of the low.
俺らに命令すんじゃねえ。殺すぞ。
Now you're speaking my language.
あ
You just walked into my domain. That was a big mistake.
誰もが聞いたことのある。
I don't think you know what it means to kill. Clap. Clap your students. This is a risky maneuver, but I like it. What do you do? Tell your parents? The calmness is really what sells it.
殺せるといいね。
Perfect.
卒業までに。
Try it. Well, don't really try it, but you can't break me. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so cool. I love that. What a great
席
shot.
について授業を始めます。
Wow. That's such a... That was an epilogue of epilogues. They landed that so well. I think it's one of my favorite moments of the show. Oof. No one said it was going to be easy, but it's all there, and he's there. He's always there. It's not just that Nagisa is so powerful and capable because of all the ways that he's grown and all the things he's experienced. It's not just that confidence. It's also that after everything Nagisa's been through and everything he's learned, there's not going to be any animosity for the students. He's going to love them because he knows them. He's done the hard work of like exploring these things and exploring himself and not being bitter and not being spiteful and understanding why people act out and why people hide and why people scheme and plot and why people have bloodlust, why they have violent impulses. And he wouldn't take any easy outs and excuses like, oh, they're just evil kids. They have terrible things coming to them. I hope they fail. Have fun working at a gas station your whole life, idiots. That would be a route, right? That would be a very easy route. And maybe that would be a common route. And I think I know that impulse being the recipient of that as a student and also the pull of that as a teacher sometimes where you just want to give up. Like there are students out there who are deliberately trying to trigger you because they're testing their boundaries and they're not happy about their situation. But no, that's another one of those things that is giving up and relinquishing the pursuit of excellence that Koro Sensei stood for and the students have learned and now embody. Wow. What to say about Assassination Classroom? I think it's a deceptive show. I think there are a lot of giveaways even early on because when the depth lands, it lands so heavily and so resoundingly and so thoroughly that you're like, there's no way this is an accident. But there's also a lot of silliness. The premise itself is just absurd on its face, which is part of what makes it so fun. But then I think really starting from the flashback on is when it starts to really double down on it. And not only that, true to Koro Sensei's philosophy about how you're never done teaching. It doesn't just land these ideas, it continues to add new ideas all the way to the end. And that makes sense because a lot of it is about process. It's not about any one given moment, any one given output, telling yourself lies, trying to form narratives about how actually you're already the best in order to avoid the pursuit of the things that are calling you, that are your conscience telling you to go for things that are higher, to learn and to grow and to maybe turn that into service somewhere. I like that Koro Sensei was not perfect. He's very much a flawed human being, but it's so cool because it always relents to the higher North Star that it matters. Koro Sensei himself never demanded perfection. He demands the best effort in the most honest way and seeing it as an iterative process, never labeling yourself as a failure, never taking labels at all, just seeing what you can do in the given moment and to like heighten, focus your sense on what matters and what do you really want. Like I said, I have a little bit of mixed feelings about his actual literal death, but I have zero mixed feelings or doubts about the core messages and the beauty of the show and the characters, especially as it manifested in the epilogue. Come to think of it, this might be one of the best epilogues I've ever seen. I think in some cases epilogues, they serve as like, you just want to spend the last episode with the characters and you want to see, oh, everything's happy now and everything's great. And there's some of that in this episode, which is nice, but I almost think that's not the point of it. The point of it is the themes of like what happens after the death, right? What happens in the next stage? Now that you're no longer the student in the classroom, how do you take this and run with it? What does it mean for this period of life to be over? And the epilogue answers that this is just one of many adventures, one of many arcs, one of many journeys in an ongoing legacy of teacher to student, one version of yourself to the next version of yourself, parent to child, generation to generation, always working towards that spirit of belief and strength, goodness and work ethic and being constructive, building agency, avoiding pitfalls, etc., etc., etc. So this is another example where there's sadness in the events, but it's not tragic. It's beautiful. This show was recommended to me for a long time because of my outspoken negative views against school, and in that regard, I think I definitely got the closure I needed from it. You can focus on the failures of the institutions and criticize them all you want, because, you know, there's some constructive things to say there, but if you apply the highest and most constructive, positive spirit to it, the most important focus is going to be what you bring to it, how much you complain about the things that are outside of your control, and how much you focus on what you can do and what the actual beauty is in there, even if it's hidden, and maybe even what you can contribute to it, what you can give back to it. In a certain way, you are the algorithm, right? And a lot of the inputs are not controllable inputs. But with the right algorithm, the things you're doing can be made good and beautiful and useful, and even enjoyable with the spirit of beliefs and the never-ending lessons that Koro Sensei had for the kids. Thank you to everybody for following the series and for recommending it. I'm so glad I watched it. I think it's one of those shows that's going permanently enter into my show vocabulary, if you know what I mean. Let me know if you're interested in a Q&A, because I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, thank you for following, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next show.